Hey guys, this is Heartland Hitman's Imperative here. I'm going to be talking through a PvP between two of Heartland Hitman's members. Our glorious leader from Pyongyang, we have Sick, and up in the top right, his opponent, another clan leader, we have Strider. So, a couple things that we'll be taking a look at in this match. We will see Sick with some awful manners try to go for a cheese, and we'll kind of see the way Strider looks at it, scouts it, handles it, and more importantly the tech choices he takes and why they work, and kind of we'll start to look through thought processes that both players should be having about the game as it goes. So we can see that we've started on Core Hall City. I actually won't pause the game. There are big areas of your main that you can't really see. Excuse me. That you can't really see with just your Nexus down. You do need something else. So Sick is going to take advantage of this, and he'll be placing a pylon and a couple of gateways right here. Kind of, we'll note we're just out of Strider's vision. So he's seeing none of this. What's happening on Sick's side is that he's starting buildings. So a cheese, this is very dependent on the map. So there are some builds that work better on some maps. One thing that could have tipped off Strider is that probe coming back in. Ideally, whenever you see kind of a probe or an SCV, less a Zerg player because nobody plays with Katz's proxy hatch build. But especially as a Protoss or Terran worker kind of floating around an area of your base that you can't see, you should put something there, whether it be a pylon, whether it be just kind of follow it with another probe, something there that you can see the unknown of your base, because this is very close to your workers, and you do not want to be losing workers to something scary that pops out of this area. So we can see on Sick's side, he'll take his time, get to 150 mineral, and then he's going to plop down a gateway. Couple things, his chrono boost gets a little high. Strider is doing a much better job as a fantastic player. So we'll just kind of be looking at this build that Sick is going to do essentially forces Strider onto one base. As we'll see later, he sets up a bit of a contain right here. So we'll kind of see how Strider reacts, what tech choices he makes, what tech choices Sick doesn't make, which will be very important, and how it all plays out. So we'll see that Sick does not take an early gas. This is an important thing to scout for, which Strider actually hasn't scouted. He has no idea what his opponent's side of the map looks like, which to some extent is okay on two-player maps, on 1v1 maps, but very recommended that you kind of move your worker over to his base and kind of take a look. This pylon positioning is actually a little shaky by Sick. I would have preferred it be, if it could, back here or over here, so that we'll see in a little bit. Strider manages to unpower one of these gateways by just kind of killing off the pylon quickly. So we'll see that Strider now with that sees that there is a gateway. He kind of doesn't know the extent of it. It could be a lot worse, but he does notice that there is something there. So we'll see him right now actually react quickly and pull probes, which is the exact right decision. You can pull everything you need to make sure that this does not kind of stand. These ones in the back aren't doing very much, so his micro could be a bit better with his workers. He could have pulled that one. He does lose a few workers. He will lose a few more in the units lost tab. We can see he's lost about 3 workers right now. These zealots are going to start doing damage, but Strider puts out some zealots of his own. This will definitely help him here. So he's kind of equalizing minerals lost, while we will say that Strider is in fact losing more because he's losing workers. This, the mothership core. This is kind of a common thing that I talked about. This goes flying in the air. It's above ground. We can see because it has a shadow on the ground. The zealot cannot jump high enough to attack the mothership core. Sick does not have a cybernetics core. We can see. So he can't build stalkers which shoot up. And he can build a mothership core which goes up, does not shoot up. So really, truly, honestly, he has nothing that can touch this mothership core right now. So this is a brilliant decision by Strider to go for something that can't really be counteracted by his opponent's play quite yet. While we just kind of watch this getting cleaned up, I would like to make a note that if you're watching, please visit Heartland Hitman at heartlandstarcraft.com. You can register on our forums. We actually have a tournament coming up on April 20th, I believe. I'll check that very quickly. Excuse my lack of knowledge here. Sorry, excuse me. April 8th. No, April 20th. Signups are open until April 17th. So we do see Six starting to create another contain here with his pylon. Oh, so finishing the thought, actually. You can sign in, sign up on our forums. You can leave us a message. Join the group. You don't have to be a full-fledged member of the clan to participate in tournaments or in Heartland battles, which is our ongoing kind of scoreboard of who's been playing who and submitting replays. But we do see Six setting up this contain. This will be very, very bad. For Striders, it'll really force him onto one base, because if he tries to make a move to take a second base, Sick will easily be able to see this, unless the probe just slips by, but the probability of that happening is very low, especially once that pylon finishes, or the photon cannon, excuse me. These two gateways are still here. They're unpowered. This actually is a mistake by Sick. He should cancel this. He'll get the minerals back. And we can see that once he's set up this contain and he's not worried about a counterattack from his opponent, he's doing the smart thing. He's taking a nexus. He's saying, you know, I'm ahead right now. I'm going to continue to increase my lead by forcing it with economy. Losing that probe was a bit of a mistake. He didn't have to do that. He could have moved it back here instead of moving it up. The photon cannon would have finished in time. But we do see more gateways going down. This is to even further hold the contain. Notice that even in the face of this mothership core, we don't actually have a cyber core going down for Six. So he's still outside of the photon cannons, excuse me, not going to be able to shoot up. This will be a problem. So if we're Strider right now, we can say, well, look at how well my mothership core is doing. If I could just get something that could kill the photon cannons, well, what can kill the photon cannons fairly easily? We could build zealots, we could build air units, we could build anything with a long enough range. So Tempest, Void Ray, Zealot, those would all be good options as far as killing these these photon cannons. Keep making that mistake. But as far as our economy goes, we really need cost-effective units, because we're playing what we know to be one base against, we actually don't know how many bases. This could be 3, but the likelihood is 2 right now, especially with how early it is in the game, that at this level he will not have taken more. Creating the pylon in the front is a little bit risky, and creating this with this gap was a little bit bad in the beginning of the game. It can actually be 1 square closer to that, and the ramp would be completely finished. He is taking this forge, which is a good tactical decision. If he can't go out, he doesn't want anything to be able to come in. So he kind of needs to shut the door the other way too. Right now it's a one-way street for Sick to come in. So we see the Twilight Council go down. This is a bit of a strategic error in that he doesn't really need it. He doesn't ever make very good use of it. This is what I would like to say. It seems weird, as photon cannons can give detection. We see that Sick isn't teching. If he was teching, he would have stalkers. They would just be superior in this instance. They would be able to get rid of this mothership core. They would be able to fire from long distance and give more damage per second, especially with all the zealots in front. He would have stalkers. He would have immortals. He would have sentries. He would have some kind of a tech unit. So we can tell that he's not going to have an observer out. So we're going to take something that's normally thought of as a very offensive kind of cheesy unit, which is the Dark Templar, and we're going to make it an incredibly effective defensive tool. This is going to become crucial for Strider to stay in this game. Just a smart play, just letting the Stalker kind of shoot and eventually whittle down this pylon that got a bit too close. Just kind of take what you can get. This is another thing I don't like. Protoss players like to think that because they're Protoss they need like all the different tech units. They actually only really need one. So the robotics facility is a good idea so that he can get what he will end up getting, which is a warp prism. Notice no gas cost, very important, because you can't really spare very much gas right now on a one-base economy. That makes this Twilight Council even more of a kind of useless... oh, you know what? That actually might be required for a Dark Shrine. You know what? I don't know, and I don't think it is. Okay, well, I could be entirely wrong on that, and that could be incredibly necessary, so excuse me. Okay, so 6 pushing his photon cannons a bit too far forward, which we can see because the Stalker is still hitting them. He should actually cancel these. While this goes on, I'm going to fact check. It does require a Twilight Council, so excuse me, Strider, I apologize. This is actually entirely necessary for this Dark Shrine to come on. So good thinking ahead, and good Glenn not knowing anything of what he's talking about. So this Photon Cannon will provide defense, and will provide kind of a barrage while he has high ground vision, or low ground vision, and Sick does not have high ground vision, another reason he would need a flying unit. So we see this Warp Prism coming out. This can be used just kind of for some offense to kind of control 6 bases, provide some map control for Strider. As outside of this bit, Sick really doesn't have any map control. This allows the rest of it, but were this to be broken, the rest of the map would be open to Strider. Strider just kind of getting out some probes, kind of trying to saturate fully. He really should get up to 24 probes on this mineral, as it'll just give him the money a bit quicker. And he had some to spare there. The Dark Templars could actually already be in production, I believe. Yeah. Oh, they are, excuse me, they are down here. They were warped in, that was what that drain on money was. So we'll see Strider remove a base of 6. He could actually be doing 2 things at once and just put some Dark Templars down here and remove this base as well, and then kind of force a one-on-one as far as bases, which would be a brilliant decision that he could make. So we see these Dark Templars, again, an offensive harass unit mostly, being used to incredible defensive utilization. They will kill all of these zealots. They will be horribly cost effective. For Sick right now, this is a massive loss of minerals that he can kind of only tolerate because of the extra bases, which Strider is now getting rid of. So Strider's really evening out the game, and in the units lost tab, we can see that Sick has just tanked massive, massive losses of units. We'll see a little bit of good micro and a little bit of bad micro by Strider here, in that he brings his Dark Templar into range of the cannon and loses 2, 3, maybe 4, not 4. Okay, perfect. Doesn't lose too many, but loses enough to make it bad. He'll take out this other base. He'll take out the probe. This will be a 1 base on 1 base, which Sick cannot tolerate. He knows that. He's better than that. Barely. But he'll make his Nexus right here. being the good player that he is, in reality, he will make a couple more nexuses. He'll realize, you know, I'm incredibly down on units lost, and I really, really need something that can get me back in the economic game here, because if I stay like it is with fairly equal incomes, I'm going to be really not in a great economic shape if I keep trying to push through this kind of well-defended line of Dark Templars. And he knows that he can't move these photon cannons any farther up because Strider can respond with the same cannons towards the front of his base and just kind of use and abuse the high ground advantage. So in the Camp Strider, we see more DT production. This is really just kind of to continue his harass, and this is a brilliant decision. Sick, to his merit, has put down some cannons, so he's saying, you know, Strider, that was a great decision, but you know what, this space is mine and I'm not letting you get rid of it. And we can see that Strider actually doesn't know about any of these other bases. This is where having produced an observer would be a really great thing, just to kind of fly it around, and of course not fly it over these cannons, but fly it around the map and make sure that Sick, with his map control right now, doesn't get rid of anything, or doesn't take anything else off the map that Strider doesn't at least know about, or could do something about. He does leave these 2 Dark Templars here. It's an okay thing. He could actually just leave 1 at each base and just kind of monitor and make sure, you know, Sick, you're not taking any more bases on my watch. We see Sick amassing some more Zealots. He has, what is that, 17 right now? So think about this, 1,700 minerals is about the bank of Strider right now. Strider smartly just kind of getting rid of these gateways finally. Moving this warp prism here may have been a bad decision, as it, not knowing where it was provided him, not having Sick not know where it was provided him with some map control, just in knowledge that, you know, or the knowledge for Sick that he could be anywhere at any time. I love this pickup of probes. It means that he doesn't have to walk over here and he can still take extra bases. It is a beautiful, beautiful decision. This is kind of very creative play by Strider, actually. Not something we normally see, and it's a really, truly brilliant move on his part. And this is a good move on Sick's part, to his credit too. That, you know, I need those extra bases, so I'm going to take them where you're less likely to find them. So a couple of key decisions for each players that kind of keep them in this game and keep us, the viewers, with some very interesting PvP to watch. Now, to Strider's side, again, we have a Stargate down. This could be a Warp Gate. It would be better that way. Stargate's down. Again, let's think. Sick is winning in Zealots. He has a better ground force. He just does. We have been on 1 base against sometimes 3 base, sometimes 2 base, and we're really not going to make up that ground disadvantage. But what's the weakness of Sick's army? Well, he can't shoot up. So we're just going to say, you know, that means I'm going to make a whole bunch of things that you can't even hit, so that I know my units will be very, very cost effective. So this is a very, very nice decision by Strider. Really thinking it through, thinking every little tactical decision out, really, and it's very good play. And here we have Sick saying, you know, I'm really set in this decision that I've made to try to just contain you to 1 base, and I'm going to win just by sheer force of macro, which is another great way to play, a bit more Zergy, even with how much Sick hates Zerg. But it's a very, very solid decision, and he's done it very well. We can see that without this warp prism, Strider really wouldn't have any ability to get outside of his base. So outside of him not realizing that Strider's taken a 2nd base, this was a very, very well played way of containing his opponent, and it's a very well thought out strategic plan for the long run in the game. So we'll look right now. This is 37 Zealots. This is a scary thing to deal with, especially when you're only on 7 offensive units, 8 if you count the Mothership Core. So this is kind of a scary position for Strider, especially with his units all the way over here, man. This is really, really iffy. Sick could kind of move in at any time. He says, you know, I recognize that. I'm going to put down some cannons because, man, that's terrifying. Because he can just kind of see, you know, even this many is a fair amount, and you can kind of see getting pushed by each other. This is really frightening. Six still, in maybe not the best decision, has not taken gas anywhere across the map. So he's still, at 20 minutes, doesn't have a cybernetics core. He says, you know, I'm going to really, truly just play Zealot. I'm going to get Zealots, and I'm going to get cannons. And I believe this is something we can attribute to his laddering, or his mindset that he's using recently, the staircase method, where he can only buy certain units. So Strider is going to try to use unit diversity and kind of abuse the units that Sick can make, as opposed to the ones that he can't. To Six credit, though, this was very, very well played for only being allowed to use Zealots. And while it does seem cheesy and everybody, you know, oh, that cheeser, it really kind of is the way you need to play if you're going to play with these low-cost, low-tier units, especially against high-cost, high-tier units with high-cost efficiency. And killing all these probes is very, very important for Sick. So taking out this tech is just crucial, and getting all these warp-ins, this is fantastic. The continued aggression is what these kind of high-cost efficiency units can't really deal with, especially the Void Ray, because you have that prismatic alignment that's needed for max damage per second. But now we see Strider has to say, you know, I really have to watch out for those photon cannons because I need these Void Rays to stay alive, because without those two Stargates, my only tech structure right now is a gateway that's about to get killed and five photon cannons right here on my base. I don't even have any defense on this side, so I can't make Dark Templars. I can't make any more offensive units. I can only make, really, I believe, a Mothership core out of this. No, can't even make the Mothership core because he doesn't have a Cybernetics core. So he's really kind of stuck. He needs to mine enough that he can get out the Cybernetics core. We can see it's the first thing going down, smartly using that last remaining gateway to at least start the Cyber core. And he's going to try to tack back into some form of acceptable unit that he can use. Kind of reestablish his economy, reestablish his tech. Sick now needs to be thinking, well, you know, I killed this base and I saw that, you know, my enemy will not be revealed in 20 some odd seconds. So I need to be looking for his other base, because I obviously, you know, I missed him taking another base. You know, I'm still in an okay position because I'm sitting on a 3-base economy with a 4th base, still up to produce probes or to produce tech nearby. I still have all of my buildings while I just kind of crippled his everything. And Strider needs to be thinking, well, you know, I'm really in a bad economic spot. I need to kind of make something happen right now that'll keep me in this game. Otherwise, I'm, you know, really out of it. So he's going to unpower some of these gateways, which is really, really great. It means that no more units can be produced. He can't, you know, Sick can't maintain this just, I'm going to flood with this unit and you're not going to be able to do anything about it kind of a move. So focusing those pylons, very, very nice. Exactly what you want to see out of that. And then you can focus on the tech once they can't build those units. So this is really really helping Strider be more efficient with his units, and really hurting Sick by doing that. He's taken another base so that he can at least be on a 2-base economy, which is another great move that he needed to make. Sick says, you know what, you know, I know that you got something somewhere, so I need to go find it. So he sends some ill-fated zealots to their demise before their time, but he needs to go scouting with these zealots, and he'll quickly find Strider's other base. So he's gonna, you know, focus down some of the probes, say, you know, I really don't want this economy happening. If I can kind of hurt your economy enough, I'll be okay. And then we see these photon cannons come into great use, along with those Void Rays. Something important to note, Strider really needs to play map control and defend at the same time with a small number of units that are somewhat mobile, but not particularly. But we can say, if we're Strider, hey, I have this mothership core. I can get back to my base so fast. You know, I believe it takes 3 seconds, 2.5, 3 seconds to get back to your base with that mass recall. So he can get back there whenever he needs to with those void rays, and really just keep both ends of his war here going, as long as Sick gives enough time for that energy to get back up, which, with kind of the waves of zealots we've seen, will happen. So Strider's saying, you know, I'm just going to start sniping things. So the forge is a great thing to get out first, because it means that he will not have to deal with more cannons being produced before Sick at least rebuilds this forge. Sick putting down more gateways, saying, you know, I really need these units out, and I need them now, salvaging these 2 gateways that were unpowered earlier. This is why you kind of want to kill the buildings as opposed to just leave them unpowered for a long time. To Strider's credit, he did need to move on to other things, though. So not losing any of his units there. Just kind of killed everything at this base and moving on, you know, just clearing out the map. Back home, we can see he's taken a Stargate off that cybernetics core. He has not even gone back into a gateway. He doesn't have a gateway on the map. He's just kind of saying, you know, I like this Stargate tech. He can't do much against the Stargate tech. I'm just going to stick with it. And it's a great plan. If you can do something that your opponent can't counter, really, just stick with it, because there's no point in trying something else if it already works. Don't fix what's not broken. So we see this mass zealot force. This would be 32 zealots, plenty to kill this this base and the other base, to be honest, with 10 more in production. So Strider needs to turn around and say, I need to be at my base right now. So he's recalled from right there. All of his units are coming back, and all these zealots will start to get focused down by these void rays. Strider could have probably saved a few more probes, but to be honest, it would have been very difficult. Probably wouldn't have been worth his attention as much as just building more probes here, which he has done, and maybe starting a couple here if he believes he can really clean up this attack, which he ends up doing. So this is good. Maybe he could drop another forge, drop a few more photon cannons. That would be a good tactical decision, just in kind of keeping himself safe. But we see that he's been given enough time on that mothership core to already almost have another mass recall saved in energy, so that he can just kind of turn around and say, you know, I realize that I need to kill things, but, you know, I'm also safe enough that I can move out right now. And if he didn't have this energy, really, he probably shouldn't be moving out, because Sick could just turn around and attack again at any time. We can tell that, you know, Strider may not have seen it, but the impending threat has to be there, you know. So we see just kind of taking down the cannons carefully, slowly but surely getting back in the race here. He needs to, he could maybe move this warp prism out a little bit. That would be a good decision, because he knows that this is kind of the attack path. But as soon as he sees that attack go down, he's making another void ray. He's trying to crank out a little bit from that. He's getting his units back, hopefully. Where's the mass recall? Oh no! Strider! Your base! Okay, so he's sacking a base. Now he's going to move back. He's going to say, okay, you know what, I've sacked the tech structures. I guess, you know, he may not have seen it. That may have been the issue. And this is a great move again by Strider, just saying, you know, you found my base. It's not well defended all the time, but the best defense is for you to not know that any base is there. So he's going to take a base way out in the middle of nowhere, actually, funny enough, at 6 natural, and just kind of keep his income high as he can, his gas income being better than 6, because 6 doesn't get gas, and 6 being at about twice the income on mineral, interestingly enough, with long distance mining going on even. So Strider right now should be saying, oh, 3 base, excuse me, 2 and no long distance mining. Strider needs to be doing this. He needs to be going for these tech buildings. He needs to be going for kind of anything he can kill to get himself a little time, really. Strider knows that if he gets up enough Void Rays, he can beat just about any composition, not just Mass Zealot. He just needs the time, so he has to just kind of buy himself time, use this Warp Prism for scouting. It's brilliant. Great play. If he can, kill off some of these probes, but he needs to be very careful that defense is more important than offense for him right now, and really make sure he's doing okay. So he does that, he goes back, he recalls, he kills off these zealots again, and he's back in an okay position. He's just going to pump out some more probes, kind of deal with the little bit of loss that he took for the mining time that he got, and just kind of move on and say, I just need to keep my production up. I'm on a good income now. Just keep going. Just keep kind of grinding out units, because as we can see, especially, he's really taken map control with these more efficient units, with these units that Sick can't counter because of his necessitating the use of only zealots due to his play improvements right now being focused on macro and not on unit composition or unit diversity. So he's limiting himself to zealots. So Strider's going to abuse that with better units, but he needs the time, and Sick is kind of running out of time in the same notion. Right here, there's no energy for a time warp. It would have been good just, right about here, just to slow down those zealots, get a little more time for his Void Rays to kill things. He needs to be careful that his probes aren't seen by these zealots moving to another base, because this could tip off Sick that there is something else going on, and it does. Sick splits up his units. Oh, and he actually kills the probe. I think what Sick believed was that actually there was no base here, but that probe was going to make the base, so I think he assumed he was in the clear and kind of caught that cleverly, but really if he knew what the map looked like right now, he'd be in a little more, or he'd know of his dire straits a little more. So he's really killing this base. He's done a great job of control on this base. He's going to kill the Nexus and say that's going to be done. I'm sick of your having that base there, Strider, so that'll be the end of that. Strider just kind of whittling down these units more and more. And at this point we can say, as the observers, Strider has probably gotten himself the game at this point. He's on 2 bases. He's limited Sick to 1 base. His units are good. They're out. Sick can't really move around the map anymore. He's very low on units. We just killed, 3 or 4 armies there. We could look at the units loss tab and see, massive losses for Sick because of these low tier units. And Strider's just kind of put himself in a great position to just kind of let his late game tech win him the game, which is really kind of something that we can all take a page out of his book here and say, if you're Protoss or to a greater extent actually, Terran, you can just kind of get to that late game hyper cost efficient army and just say, this is going to be where I need to get to, and if I can get to this point, then I'll win. And just kind of buy yourself time to get to that tech that you desire.
User entered your channel.
So at this point, we just kind of see Strider. He's just going to kind of clean up the map from this point. He's depowered all these pylons. He's found the zealots. He can clean up these zealots. He's not really worried about 1 or 2 getting through, because he's just got to go kill structures. Here come more Void Rays, even more and more. We have
User disconnected from your channel.
3 on the map. 3 on the map only. But 3 Void Rays at a time against Mass Zealot. Again, they can't shoot up. They can't slice up. So he'll just kind of tear through this. He can kill some photon cannons. He can clear up Sick's base, and that'll be the end of the game, because this is the only thing that Sick has left to shoot upwards. The Mothership Core will go down, which would be a problem were we to not see that. Oh, it does not actually go down, excuse me. I believe it goes down here, yeah. We're Sick to have more production, we're he to have more income to kind of throw more zealots at us, because we couldn't move these units back across the map. But as it stands, we're in good straits, and this is just kind of, yeah, this is the end. So a couple things that we've seen great. Sick knew, he said, you know, I'm going to only play with Zealots because I'm going to really focus on keeping my money down, which we can see throughout the game he does a very good job of doing. I don't think he ever really gets past 1,000, which is really, really solid macro. And he kind of plays to what he needs to do. You know, he pulls a cheese, but it's because his low tier units need to do damage early or they're going to be killed off by higher tier units. He pulls a contain because he doesn't want that tech happening, or at least he doesn't want it happening quickly, so he needs to cut off the money that Strider has to tech with. And he needs more bases because he needs to make waves and waves of units and just kind of throw it at what'll amount to be a meat grinder. So he needs a lot of income, so we see him take that early, and we see him really try to push that income advantage. On Strider's side, we see a good scout, maybe a bit late, of the cheese that Sick did, and then a really solid tech decision to go into those Dark Templars, to go into the Stargate, and kind of abuse the unit composition that he has against the unit composition that Sick has. So a great game by both players. And definitely one that I enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed as well. I hope you learned something. This has been Heartland Hitman's Imperative. I'd just like to make a quick note again. You can go to heartlandstarcraft.com. You can register. We have a tournament on April 20th. That should be a Saturday. And it'll be loads of fun, and love to see you there.